y'all, Stacy here. I am so excited to be sharing a holiday chop and chat with you. I have missed you so much. It has been almost a month since my last upload. A lot has been going on, and I'm really glad to be back with you. As a quick reminder, I do use mostly 25-watt and up Scentsy warmers as I am a Scentsy consultant. My warmers are typically on for 15 hours a day, just in case I talk about any of the ways that I warm this wax that I'm about to start chopping. These two bricks are one of my favorite wintertime combinations, and I do them a couple of different ways. So I'll talk about that when I get into it. But if you've been with me for a while, you know that I love combining sugar cookie with things, but my very favorite thing to combine sugar cookie with is very snowy spruce. Now, I bought these two bricks with the intention of melting them together. Very Snowy Spruce was a brick that was offered last year, so I got this one January of last year, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm really sad that it did not come back in brick form this year because I just love having a whole brick of it. Sugar cookie I got as a part of my club, and I often grab a brick as my half price item from my club. Now, for this combo, I'm using 2 to 1. So 2 sugar cookie to 1 very snowy spruce part. I love this combo by itself. I also really do enjoy to add just a half regular Scentsy bar cube of a strawberry fragrance to the mix to liven it up a little bit. But let's take a real quick look at the very snowy spruce brick that I have here. You can see it came with 2 areas of cracks. This first crack I could care less about because that's right where I'm going to chop it. It's right on the line here. And then up here, there's a little L-shaped crack that kind of, this cube is ready to be popped out, I think. But that one may be a little bit off of where I would normally chop it. We'll see when I flip it out. But generally speaking, cracks don't concern me because I'm chopping the wax anyway. I think something to look out for, something that I certainly look out for, is if wax is crumbly, and that's definitely not the case here. This smells beautiful, and it's whole wax, and you can see it's just already chopped. Like, it's taken away 2 of my needs to chop. There is kind of that little bit down there that's a little bit of a nuisance, but it's not a big deal to me. So I just chop these just along their grid lines first. And then after I chop them in grid lines, I am going to follow just that Patricia Gates method primarily for everything except these stars. I personally chop the stars in half just because I am trying to get as close as I possibly can to like a 1 cube of a regular Scentsy bar volume. And for some of these, it may be actually closer to 1.5, but I really do like to get as close to that as possible because it makes it easier for me when I'm blending and adding in, regular Scentsy bars. And also that's just kind of how I learned. Now I do try and put these in as I go because otherwise I get very confused. Some of these shapes are easy to pop back in, but these rectangle cubes that kind of only have slight slopes on the edges can confuse me if I am not careful. So I do try, and sometimes I'll put like whole rows in together, like I'll wait and chop them, but I do try and make sure that I don't just chop, chop, chop and not put them back in. Like, I think 3 is probably the most that I've ever done. And I still do sometimes get a little moment of pause trying to make sure that I put the right cube in the right spot. Now, these two are the largest cubes, but I'm still going to cut them in thirds like I do the smaller rectangle shapes. I don't find that it's that much of a difference. And I think with the rectangles, a third is just the perfect amount. I'm not super exact in the way that I do this, but I try to stay fairly consistent in the way that I chop them and the kind of portions that I have available in my bricks. I do think that chopping my bricks is one of the best ways to make sure that I actually use my bricks. I will say though, I don't chop bricks as soon as I get them if I don't think that I'm going to use it right away. So like right now I'm chopping this combo because I think I have maybe a little over a half brick of very snowy spruce left that I'm working through. And I think I have like 2 cube sections of a sugar cookie brick left because I do use this in a 2 to 1. So the sugar cookie brick goes faster. But I'm just getting these two I'm just getting these two bricks ready to go so that when I want to do this combination, I can again. I do think that this is a really crowd pleasing combo. The sugar cookie really does, in my mind, sort of provide, I'm not going to say a neutralizing element, but I think it definitely smooths out the very snowy spruce. And if you are a fan of any sort of a gourmand scent, I think these two fragrances are very well paired together. I know people who do this combination of very snowy spruce to sugar cookie in a one-to-one, and they love that. I've done it also in a one-to-one-to-one with strawberry. But you see these little sections here, they're not perfect. This one is much bigger than that one, but that's okay to me because I just do kind of eyeball the sections. And if I need to use two pieces of one, then I will. I do feel it worth mentioning that I also know some folks who will put a whole cube of a brick in a warmer. Now, I think because these typically are right around 3.5 cubes of a normal brick, you do need to make sure that it's likely a 4 cube warmer. I wouldn't necessarily like in my, I definitely not my, I mean, maybe this one, the star shape, but like in my cute as a button warmer or any of those that are like mini warmers, I would probably chop it at least in half to make sure that it wouldn't overflow the warmer. Now, this is that sort of curved side that I was talking about. It's very hard to put these little star-shaped ones in the wrong spot because you see it doesn't come close to fitting when I try and put it over there because this one heads right over there. So these really do fit like a puzzle piece. And by and large, I just think it's neater and easier to try and just return them back rather than putting them in a bag or something else, to store them in a grab bag or something. I do love very snowy spruce, and it's not uncommon for me to also just melt this on its own. The same is true for sugar cookie. It's just this time of year, this is what I am doing. I am likely mixing this very snowy spruce with the sugar cookie brick that is coming up next. I'm just gonna roll this up and clean my blade off a little bit and then grab the sugar cookie brick to start chopping. I would love to know in the comments if you have a favorite combo that you love doing this time of year. Now, this is the sugar cookie brick, and this one also, I purchased it in January with my January club as a half price item. You can see it has some substantive cracks. It has crack right here along this line and then right down there on that line. But to me, again, these are just spots where I would chop it up anyway, so I don't feel overly concerned about it. I do always look at my wax when I first get it to see if there are cracks in it and to make sure that the consistency of the wax is good. This, oh man, sugar cookie, I am smelling it so much right now. One of the things that I have learned that I did not realize until I started kind of participating in the YouTube community is that I have always cured wax without even realizing it. I was curing my wax like Christmas cottage, for example. Pumpkin roll is another one, and sugar cookie. And what I mean by curing my wax is that some people purchase their wax and then they set it aside to let it age because they prefer the fragrance of it. I was not doing it with that in mind. The reason that I kind of discovered that I was accidentally curing my wax is that my shopping habit is that I tend to stock up near the end of the season. Now, like this brick and the very snowy spruce brick came from January of 2024. And I think the reason that I bought this was just a concern that they might go out of stock. You guys let me know if you remember in the comments, but I feel like maybe very snowy spruce did run out in the brick at one point, and I feel like for that reason in January, I went ahead and placed that brick order. And I'm really glad that I did. I still am sad that Very Snowy Spruce and Christmas Cottage and Pumpkin Roll didn't return to the catalog as bricks like they did last year. I thought that was super fun. And it was great that it was a catalog brick. So you could just kind of order it throughout the season. These, again, are the two largest ones. And then these other rectangle ones. And then there's also one from that base row that's a rectangle, but all of these I cut into thirds, and then the stars are the only ones that I cut into half, just as a quick reminder. But when I really love to shop is in the catalog turn month, because typically, I mean, I don't think it's guaranteed, so it may not happen every year, but typically the month that the catalog is changing over, Scentsy has in the past had something near to or like a discount of about 10% on all of the wax. So for me, I know that I am a creature of habit in my melting, so scents like Autumn Hearth and Pumpkin Roll and Cider Mill and Apple Cinnamon Sticks and Oat Cedar Cider, Christmas Cottage, Silver Bells. These are staples in my fall winter melting. And so it's just the perfect time to grab those fragrances to me at a greater discount. So it's kind of trying to make the most of that. I don't think that any of those fragrances need cure time, just to be clear. I have melted sugar cookie the minute that I've gotten it, and it's beautiful and it performs consistently. I just do think with, I would say probably just, I would say sugar cookie, pumpkin roll, and maybe Christmas cottage. I see a slight difference in the richness or the quality that I like when it is an older bar. But in my personal experience, I really don't think they need the cure time. I just found it interesting because I used to, when I started communicating with people, I felt like I didn't know what curing was. And I really didn't, because I wasn't ever setting aside wax to kind of try and see how it changed over time prior to my kind of becoming involved with this community and then eventually becoming a Scentsy consultant. And then I started really kind of looking at it, and I found it funny because some of the differences that I could see in the performance that I was getting in, again, I think probably most strongly sugar cookie and pumpkin roll, I feel like is likely due to the fact that I was accidentally curing them. So my bars were a little bit older than some other folks who were sharing their thoughts. This package did have that little tab there, but all in all, I'm very pleased with this, and I cannot wait to dive right into both of these bricks when my other two bricks run out, which will likely be my very next melting. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that we can stay in touch. And I cannot wait to hear in the comments below what you're enjoying melting this holiday season. I hope it is the happiest of holidays for you, and I look forward to chatting.